So we're going to talk about hair care and how to really look after your hair. Now I have a question for you. How are you when it comes to looking after your hair? Is that something you even think about? Now, if it is, and you still don't really know how to do it, then stay tuned because there's going to be a lot more videos coming through about how to look after your hair. Now, if you don't consider it and it doesn't bother you at all, then why is that? Is that because your hair just doesn't ever have a problem and you generally feel okay? Or is that because you don't really know what to do? So it's really important to discern what's really true in that case scenario, because some people are not looking after their hair because they don't know how to, and actually they need support but they don't know how to ask because they don't really know what the issues are. And others, actually for them, their hair, they're just not really bothered, so for them it's not a problem how it is, so take it or leave it. But I would say that even in that case scenario, there are ways of looking after the hair that really impact the way that you feel. So if you're the sort of person that can't be bothered, I can tell you now, if you were to apply some of the things that I'm going to talk to you about in these videos, you're going to feel very different about your hair, and that's important. So first and foremost, we're just going to talk about a little tip in terms of if you have long hair, how are you with that hair? Okay, for example, a lot of people unnecessarily damage their hair through heat and through brushing and combing their hair. That's primal factors that I see on a regular basis, is that when people brush their hair, they rip their hair out. So there's a lot of unnecessary breakage. Now, the key factors are, when you're brushing your hair, is to primarily do it when it's wet. And if you're doing it when it's dry, you need to be very delicate with the hair because there's no elasticity in the hair. So there's a real education behind it. When the hair is wet, there's more elasticity. So when you brush, it's actually, you could go a little bit stronger, still delicate and still starting with the ends and working your way up very slowly, but really making sure that you don't rush this process. It doesn't take long when you take your time. It actually takes much longer when you rush it. Okay, so if you're doing it when the hair is dry, then you need to understand that any form of force on those hair strands are going to rip that hair out of your scalp, okay? And you may not feel that being ripped out, but I can guarantee that is what's happening. And you generally see the evidence based on how the hair strands sit. So that's one factor. The other one then is heat for long hair. Now, a lot of people, they do not use heat protection, and that's a no-no. You have to use heat protection. Really, really important. The other element is the fact that, and that gets sprayed into the hair actually before you dry the hair, so into wet hair. Now you can put it into dry hair, but it's better into wet hair initially, and then you can spray it afterwards into wet hair. So with that, I would suggest that you also look at really nourishing the hair regularly. So using something like the Moroccan oil, we're going to talk through how to use that. But something like the Moroccan oil, that's a beautiful product that you put into wet and dry hair. That's going to constantly nourish it, and you want to use that on a regular basis. And thereafter, you want to use an overnight mask that's actually going to support the hair. Now, the Moroccan oil do an incredible one, the intense hydrating mask, which supposedly you leave for 5 to 7 minutes. Now, if that's all the time you have, that's totally fine. But the product is going to give you 1,000,000,000% more if you leave that on overnight. And so if you weigh that up, it's much better to allow the space and do it overnight. Now that has to be done regularly, once a week. If you're using a lot of heat, guys, you've got to look after your hair. It's really important. Your hair is a massive part of your reflection and how you feel. It massively impacts how you feel. So we really need you to be really discerning how you are with your hair. So any questions, my email's below. If you need any support at all, let me know.